Hi guys, I hope you're well. Today I'm going to be talking about mood boosting foods and also the link between our gut and what we eat and our brain and our mental health. Clearly there are lots of things that affect our mental health, but I fully believe that nutrition is a really key component for looking after our brain and boosting our mood. So let's talk a little bit about the link between our gut and our brain. So there's actually a really clever two-way highway between our gut and our brain, where lots of kind of communication is going on all the time. We call it the gut-brain axis. And you'll have felt this in action, because if, like me, you're somebody who gets nervous before a big presentation or maybe before an exam, you'll have felt butterflies in your tummy. Or perhaps you get like a gut feeling about something. Well, that's that gut-brain axis working. But it works the other way as well. So our gut, if it's happy and healthy, is going to send positive signals to our brain. If, on the other hand, we haven't been looking after ourselves very well, if we maybe haven't had the best diet, if we're a bit stressed, we've had poor sleep, we're not exercising, that's going to put our gut in an unhappy place, which will inevitably send negative signals to our brain and potentially impact our mood and our mental health. Another key link between the gut and the brain is the fact that our neurotransmitters, which are chemical communicators that help signal in the brain, a lot of those are actually made in our gut, and the key one that's made in our gut is serotonin. So serotonin is, it's kind of like the happy chemical. It's what helps us feel happier and calmer, and it helps regulate our mood, and we can manage our emotions a bit better. 90% of that is made in the gut. So clearly, if we're not eating the right things, so we're not making enough serotonin, or if our gut is unhappy, if it's inflamed, we've not been looking after it very well, then it's not going to be able to make enough serotonin. That's going to impact on our mood and our mental health. So a couple of tips, first of all, kind of more general tips, and then I'm going to talk about my 5 top foods for boosting mental health. So I talked in my last video about stabilizing blood sugars, and that is a really key component of supporting and boosting your mood. Because if we are eating irregularly, like skipping meals, for example, we all know how we feel when we skip a meal. You get that blood sugar crash and you just feel awful. You get bad mood, you get irritable. Equally, if we're eating lots of really high sugar foods, we tend to get that really big spike in blood sugar and then a big drop afterwards. And again, you're going to get that irritability. It's going to affect your mood. And my last point, of course, is exercise. We all know how great we feel after we've done a really good workout at space. We get those endorphins and it really boosts our mood. So make sure you are thinking about exercise and that movement you're doing every day as part of this process. You know, not only are we getting stronger and fitter, but we are also boosting our mental health by exercising and by putting ourselves through those workouts. So my 5 top foods then. First of all are omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acids are essential fats. So that means that we don't make them in our body, we have to take them in our diet. And they come in the form of oily fish, so your salmon, mackerel, sardines. Probably want to aim to get like 2 or 3 portions of those in your diet a week. But if you're veggie or you don't eat fish, then you can look to nuts and seeds. So really good options are flax seeds, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. Really easy to get those into your diet, whether it's breakfasts, sprinkle them on salads. You can include those really easily, and they're also great sources of omega-3s. So omega-3s are, first of all, they're really important for your brain function. Your brain needs them. So clearly that's going to be important for our mental health. But also omega-3s are really anti-inflammatory. Number 2 are pre and probiotics. So we talked about the importance of good gut health. Well, a really important factor of good gut health is making sure there's a really good balance of the bacteria in our gut. So pre and probiotics are super important for looking after those good bacteria. Prebiotics, they're kind of like this kind of fertilizer to the soil. So that's things like garlic, onions, leeks, artichokes, bananas. Really easy to get those into your diet on a weekly or even daily basis. Probiotics, they're kind of like the food for the good bacteria to kind of keep them thriving. Really great source of that is a natural full fat yogurt. And you can obviously get non-dairy versions of that as well if you're lactose intolerant. But also anything fermented, so all very fashionable now, fermented foods, but things like sauerkraut or kimchi, they might sound horrible, but actually they're really delicious. You can add them to your salads, on the side of your meals. Really great way to kind of feed that good bacteria. Next up, number 3 is antioxidants. Now, obviously there's antioxidants in loads and loads of different foods, but one of my favourite ways of getting antioxidants into the diet is through berries. So berries are a really great source of antioxidant. Anything with that lovely kind of purpley blue colour. So your blueberries, blackberries, black currants, they're going to be really high in antioxidants and vitamin C. And what that means is if there is any inflammation or stress that's been created in the body, then these antioxidants are just going to swoop all that up. So antioxidants from berries is a really great addition to help support our gut and therefore supporting and boosting our mental health. Number 4 is magnesium-rich foods. So magnesium is known as a kind of calming mineral. It's a really essential mineral. We need it in our diet, and a lot of us are actually deficient in magnesium. But it's a really nice way to kind of calm your body, calm your mood, and it really helps regulate your sleep as well. So magnesium-rich foods are dark leafy greens, avocados, whole grains, legumes, even dark chocolate, as long as it's a really high percentage, sort of 70% or above cocoa solids. And finally, number 5 is tryptophan-rich foods. So we talked at the beginning about serotonin and that being really important, that kind of happy, calming neurotransmitter that we need. Well, tryptophan is what the body needs to make serotonin. So if we don't have enough tryptophan in the diet, then we're not going to be able to make enough serotonin. So tryptophan-rich foods are things like turkey, nuts and seeds, good quality red meat, cheese, oats, beans and lentils, even seafood as well. So it's important you're thinking about this really lovely, varied, balanced, whole food diet that's really going to support your mental health, support your mood. I wanted to chat quickly about caffeine and alcohol. So we all metabolize caffeine differently, and you'll know if you're somebody who gets affected when they have a little bit too much caffeine, because you get a little bit jittery, you might get a little bit anxious or a bit nervous, a bit on edge. Well, if that's you and you are struggling with your moods or regulating your moods, then maybe have a look at your caffeine consumption. And remember that caffeine isn't just tea and coffee, it's in chocolate, it's in a lot of fizzy drinks as well, so make sure you read the label. And alcohol, a lot of us love to have a glass of wine or a beer at the end of a stressful day, and alcohol in moderation is absolutely fine. But if it becomes a very regular occurrence and we're using alcohol a lot to kind of numb some of the stresses that we've been going through, that can start to have a bit of a detrimental effect. It can start to deplete your serotonin levels, which obviously becomes a bit of a vicious cycle. So again, if you are struggling a little bit with your mood, then maybe have a look at your alcohol consumption and try and kind of taper that back a bit. So I hope you really enjoyed that. If you've got any questions, please leave some messages below. I'd be really happy to answer those. Next up, I've got a video and I'm going to be creating a really lovely mood boosting recipe. Hopefully it'll be super simple to follow along, and I hope to see you then. Bye.